my philosophy is you need balance and ballast on both sides. If the prosecution runs amok, you're going to have totalitarianism, and if the defense runs amok unchecked, you're going to have anarchy. So that's not, neither of those is desired. And one of my proudest moments, and I've had a few recently with some of the, I call them the kids, but the young ADAs here, are when we discover that somebody unfortunately has been improperly charged, but before any real harm could come to them, where we no pros or we dismiss the charges. I had a case, and I won't go into tremendous detail, but this guy was charged with armed home invasion robbery with other co-defendants, and he claimed he didn't do it. He said he had an alibi, but he was too embarrassed to present it because it put him in an embarrassing situation that he could have presented to us. But he ultimately did. And Meg, the timeline, if it was perfect, he still could have committed this robbery, but it had to be perfect. And real life is not perfect. So this wasn't a law school exam. This was an instance in which, and I forgot to tell you, I approved the charges. So, my credibility, my ego is all at stake, but you can't, that's just not fair if you never look backwards. It's not fair. Your ego can take the hit. This guy's freedom can't. And what ended up happening, Meg, is I was pretty convinced that this was too perfect, the timing. So I went back to my boss and I said to her, look, just what I told you. I said, this is possible, but it's too circumstantial and I think it's too perfect. I want to dismiss the charges. And to her credit, she gave me her blessing, and I did. And then I left, and that was in Bucks County. I left, and I was in Lehigh County, and I reconnected with the detective years later for some judge's swearing in or something. And he said, you remember that Middletown home invasion job? I said, yeah, of course. We let the guy go. And he said, well, we arrested a guy for a bunch of gun store burglaries, and he confessed to those. And he said, and you remember that robbery where you locked that guy up in Middletown? And the detective's, yeah, and he's recounting this to me. And he said, well, that wasn't him. That was me. And I was like, oh, my God. Like, I could have locked this guy up for 5 years of his life. Wow. 5 years of his life like that, and probably convince a jury. I mean, that's the scary part, how much discretion and power and influence we actually have over people's very lives. And I'm not being melodramatic, and that's why when I'm explaining to the young people here, you can never be jaded, never forget people's humanity. You've got to constantly assess each case individually, as hard as that is, because people's lives are at stake, whether it's your victims, it's societal, or it's the defendants. Each case has meaning and import.
Right, and prosecutors' job is to achieve justice, not just convictions, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. That's a wonderful story. It really is. I mean, that just sums it up in a nutshell. Your commitment, your lifelong commitment to seeking and achieving justice. And, you could have let your ego get in the way, right? And you didn't. And that's so important, I think, for everyone to remember.